and gentlemen, we're back! For a little bit, anyway. Welcome to episode 189 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. My name's Dave McCrae, coming to you live from the Voice Man Studios in Toronto, Canada. He's Tony Michael in Atlanta, Georgia. And tonight, we are discussing the Mount Rushmore of Horror. Who's on? Who's off? It is Monday, May 15th, 2023, 6:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live! We are live, episode 189. Just 11 more away from the big 200. This should be a good show tonight.
Yeah.
Tony, we're back for this week anyway, but there's going to be
for tonight.
there's going to be another hiatus.
For it's like 3 weeks.
But it's good though, because you've got good shit going on.
I've got a lot of work related stuff happening. Yeah, shooting a commercial video next week, and then the birthdays the following week on Monday, and then doing some corporate stuff the week after that. So I like that kind of busy, you know? That's the good kind of busy.
It is. And
so no complaints.
My birthday is not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday.
Yeah.
The following Wednesday, the big 44. And then, of course, you're 5 days after that.
On that Monday. Yeah.
There you go. And there we are, the big 44. Ancient. I get up in the morning. I mean, I find now, even just speaking, I will naturally break into, hey, folks, how you doing? Yes. And it just kind of comes out. I don't know what's going on. You know, it's...
it's getting real in the sense that we only got 6 birthdays left in the 40s until we hit 50.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, damn, that's getting real.
And it's all relative, right? Like, you know, you'll always get people that are like currently 55 going, oh, now, 44 is not old. No, listen. No, we're not saying it's old, right? There's always these people that are, it's one of my pet peeves when you say, hey, God, I'm going to be 44. And then somebody who's 54 goes, oh, now, kid. That's shut up. Stop being patronizing. Okay, I'm not saying I'm 96. Okay, but I'm saying, hey, I'm 44. You know, I'm not 21 anymore is what I'm saying, right? You know, so I hate that. That's one of my pet peeves is when there's somebody who's maybe 10 years older than you. It's like, oh, now, kid. You know, it's like, shut up. Stop. I'm not saying I'm 90. I'm saying I'm approaching my mid 40s, and it's like, hey, approaching your mid 40s. That's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm 50.
So
I'd love to be in my mid 40s again. How would you feel if somebody's 75 went, now, come on, you 54-year-old child? You know, like, God, it's one of my pet peeves.
I just hope I feel like the way I feel right. You know, at 44, you know, yes. I'm hitting the gym. I'm hitting the gym really hard, still in my mid 40s, you know, pressing really heavy weight still. So I'm hoping that if I could still do this stuff in my 50s, I'm going to be happy.
Well, listen, if you stick with it, you will be able to. Because you will have that muscle consist. You know, you'll be doing it. So you definitely will be able to.
You doing anything for your birthday? You and the missus or anything?
I don't think so. You know, as you get older, right? You just kind of, you know, it's kind of a nod and a handshake. No. No, I'm totally kidding. No, I think we're going to, we'll probably just go out for like a nice breakfast or, you know, lunch or something like that. And maybe watch a movie and, you know, just kind of take it easy. You know what I mean? And that's great for me. Like, I like
nice.
that. You know, it's, if I was 10, I'd be disappointed by that. 'Cause you know, you want all the gifts and the toys and the presents, but you know, when you get older, it's just spending it with the people you love and just having a nice day out. Maybe if it's a nice day, you know, maybe we'll go to the zoo or something, or I don't know, just to be together. You know, that's really what it's all about. At the end of the day.
Very cool.
Yeah. How about you? Doing anything?
I don't know. I'm being kidnapped. So I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know.
So she's got a surprise?
I guess. I don't know.
Well, maybe this will be the last time we see you.
She might go all Kathy Bates on me, right?
Yes. Yeah, maybe.
Little misery.
maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, it's like you said, man, the older you get, you just want to spend it with the people you love and be, that's it. I don't need gifts.
No.
The only gifts I need, give me a 12-pack of Heineken and a fucking steak. And
12-pack of Bud Light. No, we're not going to go there. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night.
And not just because of the dumb shit that's happening with that, because I really think all that is fucking dumb, to be honest with you. Whatever.
It's nonsense.
I never was a Bud fan or Busch or anything like that. I've always been German. I've always liked Heineken or I can go for any good import as well too, like or not import, good lager, like any,
Canadian.
Yeah, Canadian brew is pretty good. Me and my brother were just talking about this yesterday. For Mother's Day, we were with my mom, and he likes like October. See, here in Georgia, we have a small town called Helen, which is like, it's a German town, and they have Oktoberfest. So
we have Oktoberfest up here too.
They'll have all the crazy, different types of beers, the Sam Adams and things like that. And the actual German beer as well too. It's really cool. So, but my go-to has always been Heineken. From the moment I sipped it when I was like 16, 17 years old, when it was legal to drink, right?
Right. Yes, of course.
Totally. Yeah, it was actually legal in Canada though. And when you're 18, when you're back now, is it 21 now out there?
No, it's 19. It's 19 here in most provinces except for Quebec. It's 18.
Quebec is 18. That's where we went for the millennium because we were too young to drink in the States. So we went to Quebec for 99, 2000. And but
it's 8 years old in Quebec.
Yeah, right. 8 years old. But yeah, I never, Bud Light, just, not just because of all the dumb shit that's happening. I never was a Bud fan, even regular Budweiser. Like my grandfather used to he was a big Budweiser drinker, and we would take sips from his can. And I was like, nope. But the moment I took a sip of Heineken, I'm like, that's my beer. And that was it.
There you go. Hey, it's all right. It's all right. Listen, before we jump into the main topic today, of course, just a reminder again, the It's Me Billy Chapter 2 Indiegogo campaign is live. It is live, and we are doing very well. When we go over to the other screen here, you can see right there, we are currently sitting at a total of $43,031. 35% of our production budget has been raised, 409 backers. We'd love to get a few more backers tonight, maybe throughout the show, or that would be great. That would be awesome. But we're in a good spot. We're in a very good spot. And we're very happy that after 2 weeks, we are 35%. We would love to be at, I would say, over 50,000 by this time next week, maybe around 53, 54, somewhere in there. And then hopefully by the end of the month, which would be halfway through our campaign, we would be sitting at 60,000 or over that. And again, this is Canadian dollars. So for everybody in the States, when you go to the campaign, you'll see a number that's a bit lower. Do not freak out. Nothing has changed. We're not trying to manipulate you. It's just the difference between the US and Canadian dollar. 120,000 Canadian is about 89, 90,000 US. So you will see a bit of a lower number. So 43,031 Canadian is about, I think, maybe 31,000 US, something like that. But yeah, we're very pleased with that. There's lots of wonderful perks. I dropped a big perk today. It is one of the higher tiers that I dropped today, but it might be of interest for some. But there's Blu-rays available, of course, and T-shirts and hoodies and autographs and all sorts of goodies there, and more to come as well, too. So yes, feel free to head over to the Indiegogo campaign. The link is in the description. At least it should be in the description. Let me see here. Is it in the description? Oh, it's not in the description. It should be in the description. It's not in the description. I'll have to put that link into
in the description, Dave.
I'll have to put that link into the description. I'll have to put the link into the chat room. Maybe somebody else can get that for me. But yeah, just a reminder, we're crowdfunding. It's a massive thing right now. This is a big thing. This is going to be a big thing until the end of June, obviously, because Olivia Hussey is back. She is reprising her role as Jess Bradford in It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. Lynn Griffin is also returning to the Black Christmas world. We are beyond excited, and obviously we have to raise our production budget to make that a reality. But this is the where is it here? There, I think it was this image here. Yeah, this was the perk that I dropped today. This is the co-producer perk that is currently up on the campaign. There's an associate producer perk. There is an executive producer perk, which is the highest tier. That's the tier that where you get every single thing, all the perks, including all the perks that come after that are not currently there either. But right smack dab in the middle is the co-producer perk. You get a co-producer credit in the film and on IMDb. You get a McCrae live invite to come and join me on this channel to talk some horror. You get an It's Me Billy Chapter 2 t-shirt, an It's Me Billy 2 Blu-ray official and teaser cover. You get an It's Me Billy Chapter 1 Blu-ray with the retro cover, a signed poster, signed script, digital download package, advanced online premiere, a filmmaking consultation. Maybe you're somebody, maybe you're a filmmaker, maybe you're starting to think about doing your own Indiegogo campaign, or maybe you just want to know some tips and tricks, and whatever the case is, Bruce and I will absolutely have a Zoom consultation with you. And you also get the flashback, the Halloween Kills flashback mask done up by independent Michael Myers mask maker Jimmy Falco, who does a hell of a job, as you can see right here. Very excited to have Jimmy on board with this. And as you can see, that mask is, what do they say?
Mint. And if I'm feeling up to it, I might even give you guys a Magic Mike lap dance.
There you go. And if you're feeling up to it, hey, Darren from the Slotted Lamb popped into the chat.
With my shitty Matthew McConaughey impersonation.
But it's not guaranteed. It's only if he's feeling up to it. So there's a if
I'm feeling up to it.
So you're definitely going to get.
I gotta be in the mood.
That's right. You're definitely going to get all of this, but you may or may not get a Magic Mike lap dance from Tony Michael. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Fill me up with some Heineken. Anything's possible.
That's it. But we're very excited about this perk, and we know some people will be too. Obviously, again, it is a higher tier. Obviously, it is one of our producer perks, so it is obviously for people who feel that they can do it. But we really like this perk, and it sits kind of right in that comfortable spot. And of course, that Michael Myers mask is just unbelievable. And there are 4 co-producer spots available. This is right now on the campaign. But you do not have to get that, of course. Anything. Like I've always said, these campaigns are generally, I'll say, won or accomplished by a lot of people buying Blu-rays or something like that, right? You know what I'm saying? If 500 people all bought a Blu-ray, that would be like, $40,000. I mean, that's generally how these things are won. And then there's a few people that come in and buy, the producer perks and things like that. But I can tell you right now, Blu-rays. Talk to your uncles, your aunts, your wives, your brothers, your gerbils, your cats, your dogs. Get them in on it. That's how we can get it done. But we are extremely thankful to everybody who's donated so far, and really happy about the progress. $43,031 in 14 days is just unreal. But we can't take our foot off the gas. We got to keep going.
Yep.
So now that that's out of the way, and my plug is out of the way, and I'll be plugging that towards the end of the show. Tony, Mount Rushmore of Horror. Let's dive into this.
Now, before we dive in, are we counting the entire genre? Because you can make an argument for, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, The Mummy, the OGs that really started it all. I mean, and I guess if you're someone who wants to put the Universal monsters on the Mount Rushmore of horror, the argument could be made. I think Dave and I are going to be more centered around the slasher genre, especially more the 70s on up to current times. I don't think we're going to go as far back, but certainly you can make the argument for some of the OGs of like Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney and Bela Lugosi, and I think Karloff also did The Mummy as well too, right? I know he was Frankenstein. Didn't he do The Mummy?
Something like that.
I think he did do The Mummy. I think he was The Mummy and Frankenstein. I mean, obviously he's the iconic Frankenstein that we all know, just like Bella is the iconic Dracula, and Lon Chaney Jr., which, by the way, I said Chaney, but I meant Jr., is the iconic Wolfman. but I think he is. I think Karloff is the original mummy.
You might be right. You might be right. The chat room will definitely let you may be right. I'm just putting the link to the Billy Chapter 2 Indiegogo campaign into the description. So it should be there now. My apologies that it was not there, but it should be there now for everybody who was searching for that, or if you were searching for it. Again, I'd really appreciate your support. Obviously, we literally can't do it without you, and we can't let this opportunity go by. Jess Bradford returning, that's like Jamie Lee Curtis in a Halloween fan film. We can't let this go by. So I agree with you. I think generally speaking, when people talk about the Mount Rushmore of horror, they don't. You're right. What are we measuring, right? Like, are we talking about all of horror, like The Mummy and Frankenstein and Wolfman and Swamp Thing and this, and you got to throw Pumpkinhead and and everything. I think it's harder to do, which is why I think people tend to define it by era or by even subgenre. Right. So, when I see people talk about their Mount Rushmore of horror, because you could say, who's your Mount Rushmore of horror directors? Then you usually hear Carpenter, Craven, Hitchcock, but what about all the Giallo film directors? And, what about all the foreign, what are we measuring, right? So I think to be precise or to be more concise, I guess, I would say that maybe we should talk about more of the modern
slasher part
slasher kind of thing. Yeah. More of the slasher era kind of stuff. I think is probably where we want to go with this.
If someone leaves a comment after the stream and you bring up Wolfman, Drac, and Frank, it's a valid argument, and it totally they are the original monsters. They are what that's the foundation of horror. That it all. I mean, and then you can even go far back with Lon Chaney Sr. with Phantom of the Opera, and then who played Nosferatu, the actor?
I forget.
I don't even know. But so I'm saying you can even go as far back that what I mean, like the silence and stuff,
exactly.
So I mean, so there's so many different, like you said, so many different subcategories to this genre, like the Mount Rushmore of ghost horror, paranormal horror, so I think what Dave and I are going to be focused in on is the slasher, because what we were talking about in voice messages back and forth to each other.
That's right.
We were pretty much in like the 1970s up to now and talking about the different, characters of slasher, and it would just be a fun conversation to have.
For sure. I just wanted to say here, Stu Bloomfield says, Dave, is there a way to donate for you without buying a Blu-ray, etc.? I just want to support you in the channel. Well, for the channel, you can send in a super chat, which is fantastic. But I would encourage you to go over to the campaign, okay? If you're on your phone, which most of you probably are, you'll see the perks. Scroll to the very end of the perks, and you'll see a little spot where it says, I think it says donate here or something like that. And you can donate everything, donate everything. Don't donate everything. I mean, you need to eat. But you can donate anything is what I meant, from $5 to,
take a second mortgage out.
Yeah.
Take
whatever.
a second mortgage
Take a second
out.
mortgage
Rates
out.
are good.
Come on. But you can do that. And I encourage you to do that. I always encourage everybody, if you want to send in a super chat and support the channel, that's great. But if you want to support the film, don't send in a super chat, because YouTube's going to take 30% of that. Go over to the campaign and drop your $5, your $10, your $20, whatever it is in there. Donate it to the campaign, because then we're going to get all of that. Do you know what I mean? And it's going to go right into the campaign. And then you're going to see the campaign number go up. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we encourage you to do. Yeah, you don't have to buy a perk if you don't want to. You can just donate as well. Sorry.
Yep.
It's very important.
It is.
So the Mount Rushmore of slashers. Now, usually, and we are sort of in the same boat here, we can come up with the 3 out of the 4. It's always that fourth one that is dividing people and getting people talking about it. And who is that fourth one? Do you know what I mean? Yep. And I agree that Michael Myers should be on there. 100%.
Yeah.
I agree that Freddy Krueger should be on there, 100%. I agree that Jason Voorhees should be on there, 100%. Then comes the fourth one. And there are people that I think like to immediately jump and say Ghostface.
Yep.
And okay, there may be an argument for that, although Tony brings up some really good points about this, about why maybe Ghostface maybe shouldn't be on there or whatever, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I understand why people go Ghostface. Leatherface, okay. Chucky, okay. You know, and then I always kind of see Pinhead and Pumpkinhead and Leprechaun.
Yeah.
They're even lower than that.
Yeah.
But what are we measuring here, right? Well, I think we're starting to measure pop culture zeitgeist impact when it comes to movies and franchises and marketing and pop culture and you know, box office and all that kind of stuff. I think I mean, Freddy and Jason ruled the 80s. Whether you like Elm Street or Freddy or not is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Nobody cares about what you personally feel about any of these characters. The numbers don't lie. When we talk about pop, not just box office, I'm talking about just pop, like defining an era, right? Defining a generation, right? And Freddy and Jason really did that. So they are on there. They are first ballot Hall of Famers. Like, end of discussion. There's just nothing. Even before Michael Myers, Freddy and Jason, because of their pop culture zeitgeist impact of the 1980s era, they are first ballot Hall of Famers. No question. No question. They would not be waiting 5 or 10 years to get voted in. They would be there immediately. Yeah. Then Michael Myers. And Michael Myers has a bit of a different kind of journey, right? It was the 1978 film, was huge, of course. We know this. There was the 1981 sequel, not as big, but okay. And then there was no Michael Myers in 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. Right when Freddy and Jason, right in the heart of the 80s, right in the heart of you know, 80s music and pop culture and Back to the Future and Gremlins and Spielberg and Goonies, and there was no Michael Myers. Right in the heart of the 1980s, there was no Michael Myers. Yep. And then all of a sudden he came along in 1988 at the end of the 80s, and when the slasher subgenre's trajectory was already well on its way down.
Yep.
So, but Michael Myers, because of the franchise and because he was in and around at a time when Freddy and Jason weren't, right? Part 4 was pretty good. 5 wasn't. There was a long delay again till 6, but then H2O sort of revitalized, you know, Myers, for sure. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? He probably is. But he's definitely on there. But it's that fourth one. Michael Myers, yeah, for sure. He is on there. There's no doubt about it. He is Michael Myers, you know, for sure. But who's the fourth one, Tony?
It's tough. You know, I mean, like you said, Michael's definitely on there. Freddy for sure. Jason, it's Sackhead Jason. It's the original Jason, not the hockey mask. I know the hockey mask is an iconic symbol, but if I'm putting Jason up there, I'm putting Jason how he was originally presented as the character. That's just my opinion on that regard. It's still the character. It's just how he, you know, you could silhouette the mask in there or whatever, the hockey mask. And I get it. I get why the hockey mask it's an iconic symbol in horror. You know, I get the argument for Ghostface now when people talk about it and bring it up because of the popularity of Scream, the fan base, what it's done. But when you're going to say Ghostface, what version of Ghostface are you talking about? Are you talking Stu? Are you talking Billy? Are you talking one of the other individuals who played Ghostface in the, you know, sequels after the first film? You know, whereas when you're talking Michael Myers, it's Michael Myers. When you're talking Freddy Krueger, it's Freddy Krueger. It's not it's not played by anyone else. When you're talking Jason, it's either Sackhead or the hockey mask, one or the other, but it's still the same person. Which is why I tend to lean to Leatherface. First of all, Leatherface started it. He's before Michael. film came out 4 years before Halloween. You know, he's an OG. Unfortunately, that franchise has been horribly mismanaged and handled by the wrong people, and just they never gave that franchise the proper sequels that it deserved. I think it could have been so much if in the right hands. That franchise could have done great. I mean, yes, you know, you could say the Jessica Biel reboot of Texas, but it's a different family. It's the Hewitt family. It's not the Sawyer family.
Right.
So when I'm thinking of Leatherface, I'm thinking of the Sawyer family and Bubba, you know, and which is why for me, I probably would put Leatherface over Ghostface on there, because again, Ghostface isn't just one individual for 6 movies. It's what, 12 individuals, because it's usually 2.
Yeah,
always 2, no more, no less.
3 in the last one, so you probably have to
3 in the last one, right? Yeah. So I mean, like, who? If you're going to put Ghostface, is it Stu behind the mask? Is it Billy? I mean, obviously, I think you're going to go to the first one, you know, when using Ghostface, and probably most people would say Billy. I mean, but you know, there are some hardcore Stu fans out there as well too. But I think Billy probably, that would be an interesting poll. Who do you like better, Stu or Billy as Ghostface?
Would be.
I'd love to see what people really, you know, who they like more. So that's where you got, like, when you're putting Ghostface on the mountain, who are you putting on there as Ghostface? You know, it's different people each time. Whereas Sawyer, Bubba, you know, Leatherface, and Michael, Jason, and Freddy, they're the same guys always. It doesn't change.
It's a great point that you make, because I think it's something that we do have to take into consideration. Again, it all comes down to what we're measuring, right? And sometimes now, you know, you go in and you kind of make adjustments, and you're trying to kind of, you know, see if Ghostface fits. Ghostface, really, at the end of the day, you're right. Is it any of those, or is it Roger Jackson? Right? You know what I mean? Like, is it the voice? Is it the voice? Right. You know, what is Ghostface? Well, I can tell you what Ghostface is. Ghostface is a symbol. He's a representation of something. I think that is one of the strengths to the Scream franchise, but also possibly one of its weaknesses, because how do you know that it's over? There can always be another Ghostface, because everybody's Ghostface, which means nobody's Ghostface. Do you know what I mean? And so, or nobody's Ghostface, which means everybody's Ghostface anyway. You know, I think you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, so is it the symbol of Ghostface that we put on there? But then is that, you know, like, is that really what we're doing? Or I don't know, you know, do we, like, in order for Ghostface to qualify, this is really nerdy shit. In order for Ghostface to qualify, it's hardcore nerd sweating, but it's fun. In order for Ghostface to qualify, but it's true. In order for Ghostface to qualify, do we have to, as to your point, pick which Ghostface we're talking about? And then when we decide on who that Ghostface is, then we have to explain and quantify why this particular Ghostface is head and shoulders above all the other Ghostfaces, so much so that they are on the Mount Rushmore of horror icons. Because just putting Ghostface mask on the mountain says what? Ghostface,
but which Ghostface? Right.
Exactly. It's just the symbol then, right? It's just the symbol.
Well, that's why I said, you know, if anyone's ever been to Mount Rushmore and have seen the president's head on the mountain, there's also a huge juxtaposed to the mountain. I forget, is it Geronimo? It's a Native American. I think I think it is Geronimo.
Right.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. But there's a massive Native American rock statue, a huge, you know, that's right next to the Mount Rushmore. So if I'm designing the horror Mount Rushmore, I'm putting Michael, Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, and then I've got a giant, huge statue of Ghostface, maybe looking up at the mountains, just to have that honorable mention of, because you cannot not mention the character and give it some creditation for what it's done in the pop culture.
Of course.
But I wouldn't put it on the mountain. I'd have it right next to the mountain.
Yeah, like a Rocky statue.
Exactly.
He's going like this.
Yeah, and he's looking up, he's got the knife up or something like that, and he's looking up at the four guys, That's how I would do if I were designing a mountain like that, or like a monument, somewhere, and doing it totally dedicated to the icons of, the horror slasher genre. That's the way I would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you could look at it and go, well, okay, let's talk about pop culture impact in the slasher.
Crazy Horse. Okay, it's Crazy Horse. Thank you. I couldn't remember which Native American it was. Crazy Horse. That's the Native American.
Thank you,
next
Brooke.
to it. Yeah. Thank you,
but now, does it change when we talk? And I think it might, when we talk about specifically pop culture impact on the horror slasher subgenre, right? You know what I mean? Does it change? Then you have Michael, Freddy, Jason, and could you put Ghostface on there then? Right? Because then you're looking at sort of, the impact of Scream, how the franchise has been very consistent. They haven't had their resurrection yet. They haven't had their, Rob Zombie's Part 2 yet. It's probably coming, but they haven't had it, and then maybe, I guess it does depend on sort of what we're measuring, but that Ghostface you brought that up to me the other day, and it is a good point. I mean, again, it's really hardcore, sweaty, nerdy stuff, but it's a really good point, and I like that you went there, because it's true. There is no Ghostface. That's why, and I think I said this to you, or maybe I was talking about this on a Patreon show. I can't remember, or maybe I said it to you. Maybe it was both. That's why I think in the lead up to Scream 6, when I was talking about Scream on the channel, and I was, speculating on what the story could be, I think that's why by default, my mind kind of, and I'm not saying that this is the best idea. I'm just saying that I think this is why I went there, even subconsciously, was I said something like, maybe Scream 6, this is before obviously it came out. Maybe there actually, we've talked about this too, actually. Maybe there actually is a ghost face that's been pulling the strings the whole time through all the movies. And that voice that you hear, the Roger Jackson voice, is actually somebody, not just a voice changer. Now, I'm not saying it has to be Roger Jackson. I'm not even saying this is the best idea, but I think my mind wanted something tangible, wanted a ghost face, wanted an Emperor Palpatine, wanted something that could be destroyed. And therefore we know now that when that's done, it's not, because I think the fact that anybody and everybody can be Ghostface just sort of makes the ending of every movie kind of go, well, until next time.
Until next time.
Yeah,
right.
like until some other kid's got some sort of fucking problem. I got a fucking problem. I'm going to dress up as Ghostface and go murder people. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like until that happens again, like, because there is no Ghostface, because everybody's Ghostface. So I think that's why my mind kind of went there, because it was struggling to find those that tangibility, that sort of that thing, that foundation, that base. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying that it could be a good idea depending how you write it. But I think that's why. And then you have like Sydney come back and she faces off against like the real ghost, the hello Sydney, it's like, oh my God, like you're that. So it's been you the whole time. Yes, it wasn't. Oh, you thought it was, Billy and Stu. Sure. There's a little, but no, it's actually, whatever. You figure it out, to have it make sense. But yeah, anyways, I digress, obviously. But the Mount Rushmore thing, maybe Ghostface, there's like an honorary statue or something like that. Who would you put on there? You would put Leatherface on there?
The mountain, I would put Michael, Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface. That would be my core four. And then, like I said, I would do what they did at our Mount Rushmore monument here in the States and have a huge statue of Ghostface looking up at the mountain as an honorary mention.
And maybe Chucky is like on his back.
No, I'd have maybe Ghostface stepping on Chucky, like just stepping the life out of that little
Right.
Yeah, I won't say what I want to say, but yeah,
Yes.
you know,
Yes,
not a fan of the character, but you know, it doesn't do anything for me. Sorry. I don't know. If I saw a little doll coming at me, you know, I
kind of feel the same way.
You know, whether laces were out or in, that sucker's going through the fucking uprights.
I like,
you know,
I like
I'm just saying.
I know, I hear you. I like the first Child's Play. I do like the first Child's Play. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's good.
It's a creative idea.
And Child's Play 2 is a pretty good sequel.
Child's Play, it's a decent sequel. I'll give it that.
But beyond that, I'm just like, just fucking somebody pick up the doll and smash its head into the cement. You know what I mean?
You know,
it's kind of how I feel about it. I think for me, it depends on how am I measuring? I think for me, I would probably go, Freddy, Jason, Michael for sure. And then I could see myself putting Leatherface on there. I could see myself doing that. I could also see myself putting Ghostface on there again if it was the other thing that we were talking about, right? Just sort of the pop culture. What four horror slasher villains have had the biggest pop culture impact? Do you know what I mean? Then sure. I think you could put Ghostface on there because, you know, it's even though there is multiple ghost faces and not one, the symbol then works, I think, in that regard.
It does.
But when we're talking about the characters in and of themselves, it's hard to put him on there because which one is he? Right. You know, it's
if I were to put a ghost face on, then I'd probably put Billy. It would be Billy's Ghostface. Yeah. I mean, he was Billy was a lot more sinister than Stu was. Stu was definitely the comic relief. You know, and the thing is too, you can definitely, if you really go back and watch the original Scream and you listen to when Ghostface is on the phone interacting, you can kind of tell this is the brilliance of the guy who voiced him.
Roger Jackson.
He basically adapts to both Billy and Stu's characters and how the actors portrayed them, you know, because you kind of know when Ghostface is being comical, Stu. It's right. Stu. When Ghostface is being serious and he's about to fuck shit up, you know that's Billy.
Right.
And no one's ever picked up on that before.
Interesting. I haven't. I'll have to go back and watch it.
If you go back and watch it and just listen to it from that perspective, Roger Jackson does a great job by the way he's enunciating and the way he's, you know, delivering the lines. You can kind of tell who he's portraying. You know, he's portraying Billy and you know he's portraying Stu.
Fascinating. I've never noticed that before. That's really interesting. Very cool indeed. So, I think I would have to put, Leatherface on there. I think, you know, I don't think, but no, Pinhead, no. I don't think Pinhead's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think.
I mean, certainly, I will say this. I'll give credit where credit is due when it comes to Pinhead versus Leatherface. If I were to walk up to people on the street, more people would know who Pinhead was versus Leatherface.
You think so?
They would. The average people, not the diehard horror fans, the average Joes.
You might be right.
If you walked on, because the iconic face, even though I've never seen one Hellraiser movie, but I know who you're talking about when you say the name Pinhead.
Right.
I've seen bits of the first one. It just didn't really do anything for me. I was just like,
I saw the first one years ago.
I know it's iconic. I know people love it, but I don't know. I've seen little parts of it, and I'm like, I'm not really feeling this. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But that's not a diss either, and it's not a diss at the character because I know how the character's been a huge impact to the horror community,
right.
And there's a lot of Pinhead fans out there too.
There are, yeah, for sure. No, there definitely are.
I mean, and I see people in the chat room mentioning Norman Bates. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but
I could see Norman Bates. On there. I'll tell you this. I would probably, when it comes to character, I would put Norman Bates on there before Ghostface.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The first Psycho 2. I mean, 3 and 4 were not as good, but I mean, it's the same thing that I did in that, or it's for the same reason when I did that video like 3 years ago, when I said, what is the most iconic house in all of horror? And I said, well, it depends on the measuring stick, right? It depends on what we're measuring. And because people tend to vote for their heart, right? So if you're a big Halloween fan, you go, Myers house. It's like, the Myers house is not even close. It's not even close. I mean, it was in the first movie, yes. It was in the second movie a little bit. And then it was never the same looking house ever again. The Elm Street house is way more iconic. Same with the Amityville house.
Well, and you're right. And you're right about the Myers house too, because again, same scenario. If you and I were to go to a mall and walk down a mall, with the Munsters house and the Myers house, everyone would know the Munsters house. They would just look at it as like, it looks like an abandoned house.
Even the Psycho house. And that's
what the Psycho house.
I came to the conclusion that I think the Psycho house is the most iconic, most recognizable, iconic house in all of horror. Then it would probably be maybe the Elm Street house and or the Amityville Horror house, perhaps.
I would put the Munsters house in there, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Everybody knows that house, you know, because it was such a part of the credits and the end credits. You know, people when they see that, like, oh, it's the Munsters house. Yeah, for sure. But the Myers house, the original Myers house, I think, again, to the general movie-going audience, not horror fans, I think is and that's your true test, right? You know, that's why I always talk about, you know, I say this, you know, these words, penetrating the pop culture zeitgeist. So before Terrifier 2 was released, I did a video where I talked about, is Art the Clown iconic? And I said, well, and this is before the movie came out. I said, well, as of right now, I said, he's definitely making waves in the horror genre. And he's definitely becoming iconic in his own right in the horror genre. But transferring and transcending the horror genre into the pop culture zeitgeist, like a Freddy and Jason, which defined an era and defined a generation. And they were on cereal boxes and lunch boxes and had their own TV shows and, you know, video games and all that kind of stuff. I said, Art the Clown's not even close yet at that time. Now, since Terrifier 2 came out, Art the Clown, the character, has been knocking on certain doors, right? Some late shows were talking about him. I'm seeing people even wearing Art the Clown t-shirts now.
That's it. Howard Stern was talking about him. And that's what I was talking about. That's what Art the Clown. Now, he's nowhere near Freddy and Jason yet, but he's been knocking on those doors, right? It's also a different time, too. It's also a different era, different decade. Marketing is very different. But that was my point was, if I go to Dundas Square in Toronto, which is Toronto's Times Square, essentially, and I walked up to the average person on the street and showed them a picture of Art the Clown, yeah, you probably get a few people go, I know who that is. But a lot of people wouldn't know who it was. Some people might think it was Pennywise. Some people might, you know what I'm saying? But if I walked up and showed a picture of Freddy Krueger, practically every single person I showed that picture to of Freddy Krueger would go, that's Freddy Krueger. Right? And that's the level of legendary status that I'm talking about. But it's still very early for Art. The success that Art has had and being able to knock on those pop culture zeitgeist doors, transcending the horror subgenre into the pop culture zeitgeist. That's a very, very different thing. A very different thing. And Art has been knocking on those doors, which is fantastic. I think it's great because the guys that made Art the Clown, I met one of the producers at Halloween 40 a few years ago, Michael Levy, who's a great guy. But by all accounts, the guys they're fantastic dudes and not my kind of horror, but they knocked it out of the park with what they were trying to do and worked their fucking asses off. And it was a gigantic success. So, I mean, it's just awesome. But that's what I mean, when I talk about pop culture zeitgeist, walking up to the fucking, the 70-year-old man and showing him a picture and him going, yeah, it's Freddy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, and if we're really, really going to get serious with it and you're talking something like that, then hands down, you would almost say that, and I'm talking the original actors now, Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr., Bela Lugosi, and Boris Karloff again, because if you had the Mummy, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula on almost 99 to 100% of the people are going to get it right. And they're never gonna like, because you could go up to people and people will look at the Michael Myers mask like, oh, that's Jason, like all the time, right? Yeah. That happened to. I remember as a kid when I was fucking Michael on the Don Post mask. How many times I'd show up to someone's doorstep trick or treating? Oh, you're Jason. I'm like, what the fuck, right? But 99 out of 100 people are going to get those 4 characters, and 100%. Those 4 characters, will live in infamy. I mean, infamy. Yeah. I mean, Boris Karloff's face of Frankenstein is the definitive Frankenstein. I mean, I loved Fred Gwynne in The Munsters. He was hilarious. He was a great, but as far as the iconic, definitive look of Frankenstein, it's Boris Karloff. Nothing has ever come close. No one has even come close to that look. Yeah. And when I think of Frankenstein, I think of Boris Karloff. Same thing with Dracula. Yeah, I think of Bela Lugosi and Wolfman. I think of Lon Chaney Jr. Yeah. So I mean, like if you really go into it hardcore with it and you show those 4 characters to they're going to get every single one right. Almost everyone's going to get right. Yeah. Even if they don't know who the actors are, they're going to know the characters.
Yes. I agree. Somebody in the chat had said that they believe Art the Clown is iconic now, and I disagree. He's iconic within the horror genre for sure. And and this is my opinion, of course. I believe that he is starting to make that transition, that transcending out of the horror subgenre. But I don't think he's at a level of Freddy and Jason yet. Not even close. And that doesn't mean he's not going to get there, but that takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of exposure, a lot of consistent exposure through that pop culture zeitgeist. Being in a music video or, appearing in a movie is great, but that doesn't mean you're Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees yet. And so again, this is my opinion. I'm not knocking the character. I'm just talking about what I see as sort of the trajectory of being able to reach those types of heights. But it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening, and it's happening because there's a great hook to the character. There's a great shtick to it, right? It's this splatter, exploitative sort of, gross them out. Let's go see the movie and see if we can, not vomit kind of thing. There's a hook. There's a shtick to it. It gets everybody out to the theater, and he's carving his way, no pun intended. But he definitely is. But I personally, right now, think it's far too premature to put Art the Clown sitting next to Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. I think it will happen, or it could happen one day.
Well, what about Billy?
Billy from Black Christmas? No. Not at all. As much as I love Black Christmas and the character of Billy, it's not even close. Art the Clown is more iconic than Billy right now.
We don't even know the face of Billy.
No, we don't.
That's the other thing.
But that's also,
we know the eye of Billy.
We know the eye of Billy. The eye of Newt or leg of Newt. No.
Leg of Newt.
But no, but that's because Black Christmas, the original, of course, never spawned a franchise, right? Never had a sequel. Well, actually, it does have a sequel. It's called It's Me, Billy. But he's iconic in his own. Maybe in the Christmas. Maybe Billy is iconic in the subgenre of Christmas slasher horror movies, seasonal horror movies, for sure. But no, I wouldn't put Billy on a Mount Rushmore, not even close. No. As much as I, adore the movie. So that's kind of how
it's definitely fun to geek out and nerd over this stuff. I mean, obviously none of this is concrete. It's all opinions, and everybody has a right to their opinion on what they feel,
yeah, absolutely.
So, whatever people say in the comments, even afterwards, like what they feel. I mean, there's no right, there's no wrong. I think I do think in the overall though, I certainly the 3, Jason, Michael, and Freddy for sure will be up there. And I think it's that 4th one that will be flip-flop between people. You'll have some people say Ghostface, and you'll have some people say Leatherface. Yeah. And you might even get some people who might throw Chucky in there as well too, which I'm not saying I don't understand.
Cecil Laird of the horror show. Cecil Laird of the horror show. Shout out to Cecil Laird. He had I forget what other ones he had on there, but I remember him telling me that on his Mount Rushmore is Freddy, Chucky. There was somebody else.
So there you go.
And the shark from Jaws.
Well, there you go, Bruce.
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 The shark from Jaws. Listen,
Bruce.
I got to be honest with you. I think Bruce, the shark from Jaws, not Bruce Dale, not my Bruce. The shark from Jaws probably deserves it more than maybe Ghostface. Again, depending. I mean, you look at its impact it had on an entire industry at that point, right? You know what I mean? The first blockbuster.
People wouldn't even go into the water for a while afterwards.
I know. The first
and
blockbuster, the first movie to ever cross 100 million.
You think about this, and I say this with all due respect for those who like some of these recent movies. The last decent shark movie we've had was Jaws 2. You know what I mean? All this stuff like Deep Blue or whatever it was with Samuel L. Jackson. Meg, oh my God, it's so ridiculous. Like, for whatever reason, shark movies just, I don't know, man. The CGI sucks. They just have not gotten it right, not like what Spielberg did in the first Jaws. And I love Jaws too. It's a great sequel. Obviously, it's not going to come close to what the original did.
But as far as sequels go, it's good.
It's a solid sequel. Yeah. They do the shark justice in it. And it's a fun movie. One I always love watching every year around the 4th of July with the original Jaws. But yeah, man, like anything after Jaws 2 for movies that involve sharks it sucks. I mean, it's so horrible. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea, thank you. Oh Deep man,
I saw that in the theater when it came out in '98. Yeah,
like
LL Cool J.
It's LL Cool J's in there. Samuel L. Jackson. Yep. That's right. It's just. Ugh.
Ladies love Cool James. that's what it stands for.
I know it does.
Yeah, ladies love Cool James. LL Cool J. How fucking pretentious can you be?
Just goes to show you the creativity that Spielberg had when he created Jaws. And
listen, maybe I'm out on an island here, but I still think the shark in Jaws looks. Look, I mean, there might be a shot or two that maybe is a bit dated, but overall, and I'm not being hyperbolic at all. Overall, I think the shark in Jaws is still to this day fucking terrifying and looks way more real than any CG shark I've ever seen.
Do you want to know why? Because we don't see the shark that much.
Right. That's it. And when we do see it,
the thing that Spielberg went through the hell, you hear the horror stories about the shark doesn't work, the shark's not working.
Yeah, that's right.
All that hell paid off because of the theater of the mind he was able to create
100%.
Without seeing the shark.
100%. That's a big part of it. And when you do see him. But when you do it, I don't know.
It's snippets. It's not a lot.
It is. But even when you do see it fully, like when he's like, I want to come down here and chump some of this shit. And then the shark comes down the water.
The reveal.
Even when we see that, I'm like, I totally, I buy it. I don't know if it's because of I grew up. Maybe if you were to show a teenager today, they'd watch it and go, holy shit. I mean, maybe. I don't know. But to me, I watch it still to this day. I'm like, I buy it. I buy it. I'm in. I'm totally in. That looked real. Yeah. That looked terrifying to me. I don't know. I've seen shark. I will YouTube shark encounters, and you'll see people out on their boats and a great white shark. I'm like, yeah, it totally. Yes, you can tell, but it still holds up. I think it still holds up. Even the shark and everything, I think it still holds up. Like when that guy is like, "Hey, what are you guys doing over there? You okay?" And he's in the fucking boat, and the boat, tips over, and then you see under the water, you just see the side of the shark's mouth come up. It's like it looks fucking wild. It still looks fantastic. It's like fuck yeah, it's fucking great. It's fantastic.
That's what makes the original Halloween so great, because there's a lot of parallels to Jaws and Halloween.
Yeah.
Often people have said. Halloween is Jaws on land, because you don't see a lot of Michael until you get to the end.
That's
you know what I mean? Same thing. Halloween plays with the theater of the mind, which makes it so great. Which obviously it loses that as the series progresses, but that's why the original Halloween will stand the test of time, because of just those elements that to me just never get dated. They never get old. I mean, yes, does the film look old? Yes. But as far as if you want to sit someone down and watch a very suspenseful movie, that borderline thriller, that even though it is a horror slasher movie, but has a lot of thriller to it, and you're not going to be grossed out because of a lot of blood, show them the original Halloween.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And yeah, I can't listen. There's some movies that do it better than others, but overall, I'm with you. Whenever I watch a modern shark movie, I just can't get. I don't know if it's I think the sharks are. they just look fake. They looks like the Meg trailer. So the Meg 2. Now I haven't seen the first Meg. I had no interest in it. But I watched, I watch a lot of trailers. Even to movies I know I'm probably not going to want to see. I watch it so I can at least have some sort of idea and talk about it if somebody asks me about it and all that kind of stuff. So I watched the trailer to the Meg 2. And I'm watching this and I'm just like, I know you can adopt the mindset. It's just dumb fun, Dave. I know. Yeah. But when I look at this, I'm like, this doesn't look even remotely real. It just looks computer animated.
And then there's another one too, not just Meg, but there's one like, I guess it's based on a Mexican urban legend or something that's coming out. I saw the trailer for it. And again, the same thing. The shark just doesn't look, it's not doing, which is why
the shark doesn't look real. The shark doesn't look
right?
real.
Unless you're able to deliver us a Bruce type Jaws, don't ever touch Jaws, because if you what they're doing in CGI, it just does nothing for me.
I think that the shark moves too fast and it just looks like a video game, or it moves too fast. There's just something about it. They just haven't, I don't know. I've just never been really convinced by a lot of the modern shark films. Again, some are better than others. There's moments where I'm like, oh, that's not bad. That kind of looked real. But yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy.
It's kind of why I'm a little apprehensive. I heard Helen Hunt's doing a Twister 2.
Yeah,
I've heard. No, because I watched Twister last night and I'm like, this movie still holds up. It's still a good, fun movie to watch.
And the effects still look really good.
Absolutely, for 1996.
Yeah. I remember when that came out. I saw it in the theater. It was one of those big movies.
And that's my concern, is that because of like how CGI are they going to go with the twisters? Whereas like, yes, you can see that in some of the scenes, I get it. But man, when that cow flies back and forth across the screen, that shit looked kind of legit.
Yeah, for sure.
And see, a little bit.
Reese Wilson, my man from down under here, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel. We love Jaws because of the characters as well.
That's true.
That's what a lot of other shark movies lack: compelling, well-written characters. I've talked about this, that if you were ever to remake Jaws or do a sequel to Jaws, maybe you negate 3 and 4 and you just have 1 and 2 and you do see. Jaws is about characters. When you want it, and I know that Spielberg's, now it's known as the Jaws effect, right? Where you hardly show the shark, whatever, or hardly show the monster. I get that. And I know that it was a happy accident because the original intention was to show the shark more often. I get that. But if you are going to go into a story where you dangle the carrot and your monster, whatever that is, whatever genre you're doing, or sub-genre of horror you're doing, if your monster is going to, you're really playing into that Hitchcock theater of the mind kind of sort of execution, which is great. That's awesome. Mood, atmosphere, it's great. You better make sure your characters are really well developed, are three-dimensional, are that the performers you get, the actors, are fantastic, because we're going to be spending a lot of time with them. And I think that was one of Gareth Edwards' mistakes in Godzilla 2014. I actually
he tried the Jaws effects with that. Yeah, that's true.
I like the approach, actually, that Gareth Edwards made with Godzilla, kind of keeping him at bay. We see him, but then we don't see him, kind of thing. But the reason why it didn't work and people got frustrated, is because the characters were monster movie characters, traditional monster movie characters. You were trying to make this very sophisticated kind of theater, but the characters we didn't give a fuck about. And your most interesting character, Bryan Cranston, was killed in the first 20 minutes of the movie. Right. So, and his son, and I just was like, you can't really, like, it's either a monster movie or it's not. But if you built like a Jaws Godzilla kind of thing, and you had like real drama and characters and moments of conversations and real moments and like Jaws did, where they're out in the water. I mean, yeah, because then like Hooper and Quint and Brody, we fell in love with them. We wanted to be there. Hooper, son of a bitch. But it's true, right? And that's what it's all about. So if you're gonna remake Jaws, my worry is you're just going to remake it and it's going to be a monster movie, and it's just going to be a bunch of people. You're going to see the shark and you're going to see it often. You're going to be like 500 deaths and it's just like you're absolutely right. The reason why Jaws works is yes, because of the theater of the mind, and you're dangling it and you're imagining it, but are those characters that we relate to the characters, we relate to the, they're very well defined, they're very different. Quint is that alpha male,
and not just the core three, Mrs. Brody, Helen, she's great.
The mayor
who kind of plays a douchebag, everything's about politics for him and keeping the beach open. He's actually depicted as more the villain in the movie than the shark is.
That's right. Murray Hamilton.
That's right.
He passed away. Sadly, he passed away in the mid '80s. He's been dead.
Do you know what my favorite scene is in the original? To me, as far as such a great suspenseful scene that often doesn't get talked about. It's the scene with the two islanders who take the meat from his wife's fridge and throw it out to the shark, and the shark takes it and it breaks, and the guy's like, swim, Charlie, right? His guy's name is Charlie. Like, swim, trust me. Like that whole, even to this
home now.
That whole scene, that transition of when it turns around and you don't see the shark, but the music is playing, and you
that's
see
when the music kicks in, like hardcore,
right? And you see it just closing in on him, and just the dock.
Because when the dock turns, it's like, swim, Charlie, swim, and then you
swim, trust me, swim, right? And it's such a great suspenseful scene.
It is. It turns, so it's like bump, 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 and then it turns, and you hear bump, 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 and the orchestra just comes in.
What's his name there?
It's fucking great. John Williams. Fucking great. Oh yeah, no, it's a great scene.
Yeah.
But throw Bruce the Shark on there. Why not?
Throw Bruce the Shark on.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Hey, let's jump over to the Q&A portion now and see what all you guys are saying. If you're watching after the fact, comment below and let Tony and I know who your Mount Rushmore would be in the world of horror.
I'd love to see it and read it.
Yeah, we'd love to read it and why. Tell us why you put that Maybe you have a crazy list. Maybe you've got a list that's like, okay, it's not going to be unpopular, but here's my list. And that's totally cool. You're allowed to share it with us down there. That's what we want, whatever the case is. Now,
someone might say Candyman or Pumpkinhead or who knows.
Someone might.
Annabelle may get thrown in there.
They might. They might. Some super chats did come in, so let me get these right off the bat. Nighttime sends in $2 and says, you guys didn't want to do Evil Dead Rise. Didn't want to do Evil Dead Rise? I don't know what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean, Nighttime. We don't want to do Evil Dead Rise? Evil Dead Rise is... I haven't seen it yet, but it's in the theater right now.
There's an Evil Dead movie out? Goes to show you how oblivious I am right now.
Called Evil Dead Rise, yeah.
That
actually might be a fun first time watch. Actually, maybe we should do that on the channel. That actually might be fun because
we should also watch Cocaine Bear because that movie. Yes. I know I've seen that movie, but oh my god, that movie was a fucking blast to watch.
That's what I hear. Scott Benny sends in $5. Thank you, Scott. Says, hey guys, saw It's Me Billy 1 for the first time on Saturday. Loved it and can't wait for It's Me Billy 2. Keep rocking. Thank you so much, Scott. Really appreciate that. John Robertson sends in $10 and says, hey guys, love the show. I believe the small statue below the Mount Rushmore of Horror should be Norman Bates. Just my opinion. Fair?
It's cool.
Fair. That's cool. Yeah.
Very fair.
Sean Sheridan sends in €2 and says, one that no one will say, Norman Bates. People have been talking about it. Norman Bates has been mentioned a lot during this stream.
Yeah. Definitely not someone that's not been talked about. It's definitely... I wouldn't be surprised when I go back and check the comment section now in a few days from now that Norman's name's going to be there. I won't be shocked.
There's definitely been a few mentions of Mr. Bates. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh. And says, I love the tableau in the original Halloween when Michael and his parents are standing still in the front yard. Me too. Can you name any other movies that have a tableau or it mainly lives in theater? It's usually in theater and stage.
Definitely more on stage. Yeah, so I'm gonna say because I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Rob Zombie's Halloween had a tableau. The first one.
Are you talking about with Mike? No, not with Michael sitting
as a kid. Yeah, when he's put when he's put into the cop car or something.
Cop car, right?
And the camera's moving, and you see all the cops, and they're kind of like still or something like that, and then the camera like flashes on him in the back seat, or isn't that when that happened?
kind of. Yeah, I
there
can
was
see
something
that.
like that there. The chat room will let us know. All the Rob Zombie.
Yeah, definitely not something that you, like you said, it's not something that you see very often done in movies. It's more theater for sure.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's always like an end scene and then the lights go out.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So if you've never been to a theater show before, if they all of a sudden stand still, you know the scene is coming to an end and the lights are going out and they're switching the set.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Yep, for sure. Shameless plug again. Link to the It's Me Billy Chapter 2 campaign is in the description. Folks, we would love it if you would go out and support. If you haven't already, it would mean a lot. We're sitting at 43,045 Canadian dollars, 35% of our production budget. 410 of you have I was going to say voted, have donated, which is amazing. There's 46 days left. We've got to get as close to that total as we possibly can, and we can't do it without you. Olivia Hussey, the original Jess Bradford, is back. She's coming back. She's reprising her role. This is big, guys. This is big. This is horror history here. I know it's a fan film, but you know we're going to deliver a professional product through and through, and this is big. And we're very excited, but we can't do it without you. And so, again, donations or a Blu-ray or the digital download package, anything you want to pick up down there. There's higher tiers as well, too, but we would greatly appreciate it. It would mean the world to us, and we're in a good spot. We just can't take that foot off the gas. So if you've already donated and you're not planning on picking up any more, that's totally cool. We appreciate you being a part of the family. Amazing. Share it with your mother, your father, your wife, your uncle, your aunt, your gerbil, whoever's got the money. Those gerbils have money, by the way. I'm just saying. They have fucking stashes.
They do.
Oh, yeah, they do. Those fucking lying bastards. They have money. Just walk up to your gerbil and say, where's the money? And you'll see them like scurry into the corner because there's a pile of cash right in the corner. But yeah, it would be greatly appreciated, guys. We're very excited. As you can see here, lots of different perks, a digital download package. Remember, you're seeing it in Canadian dollars. It will be cheaper for you guys in the States. T-shirts, small, medium, large, extra large, extra large, 3XL. The Blu-ray, you want to get Chapter 2 on Blu-ray, there it is. There's the teaser cover too, that's cool. A copy of the director's script, the official poster, the teaser poster. There's, what is this? There's 6 Lynn Griffin snow globes left. 6 Lynn Griffin snow globes left. She signs them. Lynn, of course, played Claire in the original Black Christmas, the woman that was in the bag. One of the most iconic images in all of horror, was strangled. Hoodies. Let me get through these here. We got own both films. If you didn't get a chance to own It's Me Billy Chapter 1 on Blu-ray 3 years ago, now here's your opportunity. You can get Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 on Blu-ray right there. We've already sold 95 of those. You can get Lynn Griffin's autograph on one of 2 photos here. There's only 25 of those available each. Amazing. Chapter 2 posters. You can get both the teaser and the official. There's still 7 available of the official posters of both movies. And then you want to watch the movie before anybody else. There's an advanced online screening. You can watch it with myself and the cast and Bruce and everybody. You want to be my guest? You can be my guest on McCrae Live. There's only 3 of those available. All the 2 dudes perks sold out, by the way. Tony and I were talking about that before the show.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. The 2 dudes perk is sold out. Professional voiceover. You want to learn about voiceover? It's right there. There's the associate producer perk. There's 15 of those available. 5 have sold. There's the big perk that I dropped today. Co-producer comes with a Michael Myers mask done up, the flashback Michael Myers mask from Halloween Kills, done up by the amazing Jimmy Falco. Pretty cool stuff. You get everything that you get in the associate producer perk, as well as other goodies in there as well. And then, of course, the granddaddy, the executive producer perk, which is literally the total package. You get every one of every single perk, obviously. You'll get every single perk, which is unreal and awesome. We had 2 executive producers on Chapter 1, which was really cool. And of course, these are sold out here.
Oh,
2 dudes
I just
sold
thought
out.
of something.
So yeah, head over to the campaign. The link is in the description, folks. Would really appreciate any support at all. It's just about that momentum, right? If we can sell a lot of Blu-rays, I think we're going to make our goal. Tony, what are you saying?
I just thought of something. Now I have to be fair, right? Fair is fair. You have to be fair across. You have to be fair across the board. So my whole argument, right, about Ghostface was, well, which character, which version of Ghostface are we talking about? I guess now, thanks to David Gordon Green, which version of Michael Myers are we talking about? Are we talking about Corey Cunningham wearing the mask? Or are we talking about Michael Myers wearing the mask?
Oh, well, I think, hang on. I think I get what you're saying, but I think to be fair, Michael Myers. Yeah. It's true. That's true. I see what you're saying.
God
That's
true. David Gordon Green.
You know what? It's Corey Cunningham. Corey Cunningham is on Mount fucking Rushmore, ladies and gentlemen. Corey Cunningham is on Mount Rushmore.
If we're going to say it about Ghostface, we got to say it about Michael in the mask.
That's true.
Because it is Michael's mask.
It is Michael's mask. That's true. No, we're not saying that. It's totally Michael Myers. I'm sorry, but one movie and like 10 minutes of Michael of cosplaying as Michael Myers, even if it is with the Michael Myers mask, get out. Now you're done.
Of things that never should have happened or never have seen in my lifetime. That is one of those. Yeah.
Listen, dude, it's a great story. It's a great story. The Corey Cunningham story is a great story. It just
as long as it just didn't involved in a Halloween movie. That should have been like a Season of the Witch type anthology thing.
You don't need Michael in that movie.
No.
You don't need Michael
in fact, he was the weakest link in his own movie.
He was. He was. Now, the Corey Cunningham story is a good story. That's the story that should have been told after everything was done. And then you think Michael is gone, and he is gone. He is dead. But the town, but this tragic thing happens to this poor, kid who's this all-American guy who's planning to go to college. He's babysitting this kid one night. He accidentally kills him. The parents don't believe him. The town doesn't believe him. He's put on trial.
Kind of turns into like the Frankenstein of the town, right?
Right. He's acquitted, which is what you are seeing in Halloween Ends, which is why it's like, why do we need Michael for this? You don't need Michael to grab Corey to finish transferring his evil essence. You can still deliver the social commentary and the subtext of all of the, the town and the psychological residual effects and you can still deliver all of that without Michael. Yeah. Without Michael. You know what I mean? It's just now, Laurie is, it should have been its own fucking movie. It should have been its own movie. You don't even need Michael in that movie. You don't even need him. You don't even need him.
I know.
You don't even need him.
Someone said Cujo. Now we're gonna do the dogs of Mount Rushmore. Cujo, Beethoven, White Fang.
What about Church from Pet Sematary? Let's put Church on there. The cat Church is going on there.
Now we're gonna go into the babies of horror. Gage, your boy, Miko.
The babies of horror. Yes. I think he would be on there, actually. Nick Jean sends in $4.99 and says, excited to be your guest on both shows, Dave. Oh, yeah, that's right. Nick picked up one of the Two Dudes perk and a McRae Live perk. We'll be making another purchase here soon. Keep up the great work, everyone. Great stream tonight. Thank you so much, Nick. Really appreciate that, man. The outpouring so far from our viewers and the community has been unreal. It's been fantastic. Like I said, over $43,000 in 14 days is fantastic. We just can't, it's fantastic, Yeah. It's been amazing. You guys stepping up and making this a reality just goes to show you how much the horror community is family and, relying on each other and all that stuff. It's just been awesome. It's just been, and I can see now that we're up to 411.
Very cool.
We already got an extra donor, 411, 43,065 now. So that's great. We just got to keep it going. 46 days left. We just got to keep it going. And thank you for the
now. You know what? This may shock you. This actually would really shock you.
Shock me.
If I were to do the screen queens of Mount Rushmore, I would probably do Sydney, Heather Langenkamp, or Nancy.
Should we talk about that now, or should we leave it for a show?
Okay, we can leave it for a show.
Should we leave it for a show?
We kind of talked about. We actually did a screen queen thing not too long ago.
So let's fucking talk about it. Go ahead.
I would do Sydney. I would do Nancy. I would do Laurie. Because Rachel is my favorite. Yeah. But because I understand the character, I understand she's the face of Halloween.
That's it.
That fourth one, I don't know. That fourth one's kind of tough because you could put Amy Steele there, but she was only in one movie. You know what I mean? So now you get into a debate of the fourth one. Who would you put there? You know, do you put Janet Leigh from Psycho? I
was just going to say that you definitely put,
although she dies. She doesn't.
She does. That's true. You definitely put Jamie Lee Curtis on there because of that pop
Nev
culture.
Campbell, absolutely.
You definitely put Nev Campbell on there for sure.
Yeah. Heather Langenkamp
Heather
for Nightmare.
Langenkamp for Elm Street. The fourth one, I think you could put Janet Leigh, although she does die, so it's kind of weird. You could put, it might be a toss-up between Sally Hardesty and Jess Bradford.
I didn't even think of that too.
Because
Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
right. And then you have Jess Bradford from Black Christmas, who are neck and neck. Now, when I look at the release of Black Christmas, it was actually released before Texas Chainsaw, but here in Toronto. There was a Toronto premiere, right? And then it got a wider release in the US, I think a week or two after Texas or something like that. So again, we're grasping at straws, right? You could say that, well, technically Black Christmas was released locally in Toronto before Texas Chainsaw, but it was released wide in and around Texas Chainsaw. I always, will say that Sally Hardesty, Jess Bradford are, two of horror's first final girls. And I know you could say, well, what about fucking going back to Janet Leigh and going back to Peeping Tom and going back? We can, I guess you could make those arguments and you can try to, find, and you can talk about
that
the Giallo films and all that stuff
tough.
Too.
It's like the guys, you know what I mean? It's tough for the monsters.
It is
because
tough.
you got your three guarantees: Nancy, Lori, and Sydney. Those are your three for sure. But that fourth one, like you said, it could be Sally, it could be Jess. Yeah. You could put Alice, even from the original Friday the 13th, but it's not a face that people would recognize. No. Same thing with Amy Steele. As much as I love the character, love the girl, but it just, she's a one and doneer. Had Amy Steele done multiple Friday the 13th films, then that would have solidified her as that fourth spot, hands down. Yes. You know what I mean? If she had done part 3 and part 4 and closed out that first original run and a trilogy focused around her, no argument, she would have been the fourth one.
I agree with you. I think because we can't see what I like about what you just did, because you're not a big fan of Laurie Strode.
But I also identify.
But you're mature, you have common sense. Right. And you recognize the cultural significance, right? And in terms as it relates to that archetype. And so, of course, she has to be on there. And then, so, I see certain people that are, they'll say certain, like, there's certain people talking. There's a few. I disagree with most of what the chat is saying because, again, are these first ballot Hall of Famers? Like when we think of Mount Rushmore people,
right?
Mount Rushmore, the best.
You're talking first ballot Hall of Famers.
We're talking about first ballot Hall of Famers. Yep. Well, yes, of course, Nancy's going to be on there. Jamie Lee's going to be on there. Sydney's going to be on there. And then you could say, well, why would Sally or Jess be on there? Well, because of the cultural impact of those two movies. They predate Halloween by 4 years, right? And there's this, it's like one of the first, if not the first, right? To ever do it. So there's a big significance there. Big significance there. Saying something like, with all due respect, saying something like, I don't know, saying something like, what about, what's her face from Friday? I
saw someone say Jessica Biel. That I could see an argument being made, but she really had the one Mount
Rushmore though.
Right, she had the one movie. If she same thing, like I said about
movie too, but there's no culture.
Well, no, I mean, like what I was going to say is if Jessica Biel had done what Amy Steele did, what should have done, and Jessica Biel had done multiple Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Again, then I could see a solid argument being made for that. Yeah. I mean,
again, and something that I think
I'm gonna throw a name out and just kind of marinate with it. Vera Farmiga from The Conjuring as what's her name?
Is she a final girl though? Does she?
I mean, I don't know. Is she a final girl? I mean, she's definitely a woman of horror.
She's definitely a face of horror. I think that's a different Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Women of horror.
Yeah. I think that's a different Mount Rushmore. Yeah. But here's the thing: the one thing that Nancy, Sydney, and Lori they're
legit final girls,
right? All have in common is that their movies and therefore then their characters have transcended the horror genre into the pop culture zeitgeist.
Oh, I mean, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. Hello, Sydney.
But even beyond to where, into the general pop culture, not just horror pop culture, general pop culture. And that's Mount Rushmore material. That's what we're talking about, right? Now, Jess Bradford and Sally Hardesty haven't done that. And there's a few reasons why, but you then say, well, but look at their movies, and how important and significant Black Christmas and Texas Chainsaw were to the horror slasher subgenre. You may not have a Halloween if it wasn't for them. So therefore, that's why, you take them into consideration.
Someone brought up Danielle Harris. There is a solid argument. No,
I wouldn't put Danielle Harris on Mount Rushmore. No,
she's the second face of Halloween.
She is. But Danielle Harris's character of Jamie Lloyd has not penetrated the pop culture zeitgeist.
True, not like Laurie Strode.
Not like Laurie Strode. It's not even close. No. And that's not disrespectful to Danielle Harris. I'm just saying it's not. We love Jamie Lloyd. We love that character. We love that little girl in 4 and 5. But we're talking about Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Right. And I look at Mount Rushmore as, it's the best of the best that's ever been, and again, I mean, if you want to do, I don't know. I wouldn't put Jamie Lloyd on there. No, just as I wouldn't put Rachel Carruthers on there.
Brooke, I think you got to give it some time, but Sam from Scream 5 and 6, you got to see where the arc of the character goes.
You got to see where it goes.
It's too early. It's way too early for that. I think when people think of the Scream franchise, Neve Campbell, that's immediately where their mind goes to. Yeah. Hello, Sydney. That's just, that's just the franchise.
And she's so identified. Again, it's that. Look, I could take a picture of Neve Campbell out into the street and, ask.
I will say this, in a few years, Jenna Ortega could make a strong case for herself.
She could, if she gets herself into a franchise that
I mean, she could make a very strong case for herself to be number 4, because it's not just because of Scream, it's because of her whole, everything she's doing.
Yeah, it could. I mean? It's not really. It's horror light. I mean, outside of Scream, she's doing horror light, right? Like Beetlejuice is horror light. Wednesday's horror light. So I don't know if I'd put her on there unless she suddenly gets herself as a leak.
She has to land herself a franchise outside of Scream and maybe carry it for a little bit.
Yeah, where she is the Sam of the franchise. Because she's not the final girl. And I know she's hot right now. And again, when I say hot, I mean in demand. I mean, sure, she's...
she's doing Beetlejuice 2, which I'm kind of not sure about, but we'll see.
I know. But she's in demand, but she's not the lead. She's part of the ensemble, but Melissa Barrera's Sam is your final girl.
She's the final girl, right? That's true, because she's the lead in Wednesday. I have no idea what Tim's going to do with her in Beetlejuice. I hope that he does not sideline Winona Ryder for her, because my only interest in that movie is seeing Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton and what's her name coming back as Lydia, not Lydia. Lydia.
Oh, Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara, she's coming back as well too. Like, that's who I want to see in this. I mean,
the Winona Ryder.
Winona. But Catherine O'Hara, I think, is coming back too.
She is. I think so.
Yeah, so if they get sidelined because Jenna Ortega is the hot thing right now, I'm going to be so pissed. First, I'm not really on board with the idea of Beetlejuice 2 because it's such a classic film, and like, I don't know, but I guess Michael's just going to cash in on everything one last time, right?
No, it's true. Now Brian Sevilla in the chat, he's on the right page. He's on the right wave. He says very few movies have the gravitas to cross over and penetrate the zeitgeist. That's very true. That was Jamie Lee Curtis or JL. JL? Who's JL? Jamie Lee Curtis and JL, I'm not sure, have. Maybe Linda Blair. Now, here's the thing.
Reagan from The Exorcist?
Reagan from The Exorcist has the same... Hang on. Reagan from The Exorcist. Now, we're not going to take... Let's take the heretic out of this shit.
Yeah, get that out of the equation.
We don't know what David Gordon Green and how...
is planning
right. What that's going to factor in. But again, like Black Christmas, like the first Texas Chainsaw, Linda Blair's Reagan has one movie. Okay. I mean, technically she has two. Technically there is two. And we do have to understand that.
Right.
But it's that first movie that was the impact, it was incredible.
And it's her face as that.
It's her face, right? She is the face of it. So again, because of what that first movie did, and it transcended the horror genre into the pop culture zeitgeist,
and the impact
that it had, you have to take her into consideration. I mean, I can certainly see.
I mean, and in essence, she is a final girl. She
Yeah,
in essence,
that's where it gets a little wishy-washy, but
Satan, the devil. I mean, but
Pazuzu,
Pazuzu. I mean, hey, she's still, I mean, but yeah, certainly, if you were saying it as the face of, not as final girls, but the face of horror, the women of horror.
See, that's where I think it would look a little better for her.
The women of horror, then I would say definitely Jamie Lee Curtis, definitely Linda Blair, definitely Neve Campbell. I wouldn't even put Heather Langenkamp up there, to be honest with you. Now, because if I'm thinking the women of horror, my mind's thinking Janet Leigh, going back to what's her name, who played Bride of Frankenstein, or Vampira, who was also a huge impact in the 50s as well, too. I forget her name. The actress who played Vampira. I mean, so there's a lot of different faces that you can put in the women of horror, and hands down, I would put Reagan there. I wouldn't even hesitate. On that one.
I agree. I don't think in a final girl thing, but in a
women of horror
faces stuff. I mean, her face as the demon, like when she turns
the
around,
demon,
just that face and everything.
Demon.
You could totally see that on there, and it's instantly recognizable to the average person on the street.
Exorcist,
like that.
They're gonna know.
Like Yeah, exactly.
Even Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween, they're going to know that.
100%. I mean, you'd have to show her as Laurie, but yes.
Right. But that's also why I mentioned The Bride of Frankenstein, because it is such an iconic look that people know it without even, it would take a second to even say, Bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. No, there's a lot of different ways that you can measure it. The Final Girls one is really good. The horror slasher icons, which is what we were talking about, which is what the main topic was of the show today. I mean, you could do horror directors too, right? And people Carrie?
Yeah.
Carrie,
Sissy Spacek, when she's
all horror. Yeah, I could see her on there. Yeah,
got all the blood.
I could see her on there. Yep. Yeah, I could see her on a Women of Horror one. Yeah, for sure. Directors, of course, people like to go, Carpenter, Craven, Hitchcock. And it's like, well, that's and
the crazy thing is I'm not a big Hitchcock fan. I mean, I like some of his movies, but I'm not like a super I don't geek out for Hitchcock movies. And I don't really geek out for Carpenter movies. I think the only Carpenter films that I really watch are Halloween, The Thing. Actually, I don't really watch The Thing that much. I watch They Live a lot more. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
That's really it for me with Carpenter movies. I'm not a big Carpenter guy.
Carpenter is he a lot of I don't like a lot of his movies.
I know.
Either.
I just like insulted the entire chat.
The chat right now is all no, but I obviously the original Halloween, The Thing is great. And I'm an unabashed fan of The Fog.
That's a good one too.
I think The Fog is really underrated. And I don't think it gets enough love. It's the movie he did after Halloween. Well, he did Elvis, and then he did anyways. And Janet Leigh is in that, Curtis is in that, Nancy Loomis is in that. I think it's an underrated film.
Did we do a live watch of The Fog? I can't remember. That'd be a good one. That would be
supposed to with Reese Wilson from Australia, and then I think we couldn't find it because Reese had picked up the Two Dudes perk, I think, 3 years ago.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And
if we can find it, we should.
Yeah, we should do it.
We should totally do that. We haven't watched Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. No, but I'm with you. I'm not a huge fan of his catalog. Big Trouble in Little China is growing on me, but you know.
Whereas Wes Craven, I mean, 3 of his movies are in my top 10 favorite horror films of all time: Last House on the Left, Scream, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and if I had to pick between being an understudy to learn the craft of directing, I would pick Wes Craven any day of the week and twice on Sunday, just because of his patience and what I know I could absorb and learn from him. Whereas Carpenter, go get me fucking cigarettes, boy.
Yeah,
that's all Carpenter is going to tell me. Go get me some beer, get me some cigarettes.
That's it. I
don't care what you want to learn.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. No, for sure. Shit. For sure. But there's lots of different things you can
I've never seen, I know some people mention Escape from New York. I've never seen those.
I saw it years ago. I haven't seen it in a while. Like Carpenter, there's a very specific B movie style to his movies. And you either like them, I find you either like them and get into them, or you kind of don't. There's an aesthetic to his movies, and sometimes it works. And but I find all his movies have that kind of B movie, low budget kind of feel to them, even when they're higher budget. But I also like his Village of the Damned with Kirstie Alley and Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Which is most people just fucking hate.
I know I've seen that one because I love Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
You know,
and I liked
seen almost anything with her in it.
I liked his In the Mouth of Madness. I thought that was pretty good too.
I didn't see that. I think I saw Vampires with James Wood.
Yeah. Carpenter movies are hit and miss. Like, some are really good. Some are like, you know, I guess, you know, if you do it long enough, it's going to, you know, it's kind of going to be the way it is. I think I do like more Wes Craven movies than Carpenter movies, I think. You know, like you said, you know, The Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, Elm Street.
Oh, The Hills Have Eyes. I forget that he directed that movie. That's another great one. That's definitely even in my top 20.
People Under the Stairs.
People Under the Stairs. Yeah. I mean, just honestly, if I were to say the greatest horror director of all time, I probably would lean more towards Wes Craven, you know, even above Hitchcock. You know, when you do think about those movies that you just, and I'm not saying Hitchcock didn't have a great library of films too.
Oh, he did. Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I would certainly put the conversation between those two and just go from there. And maybe that would be a good topic to do.
Maybe
Hitchcock versus Craven. Who was better?
You could be right on that. Reese Wilson sends in $7.99, and he's correcting me. He says, "Nah, we did The Fog together. We tried to watch The Burbs and spent 40 minutes trying to find that for you in Canada today." It's because I was trying to find it on a streaming. I couldn't find it. I own it, but I couldn't find it. YouTube didn't have it to rent. It wasn't on Netflix. Wasn't on Prime. We couldn't find it, so we had to settle.
Now I think it's on. I think it's either on Netflix or Paramount Plus.
Yeah. The Burbs is a great movie. Burbs is Burbs is so great. So we did watch The Fog. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, no, it's great. I like Carpenter's films. I do, but I do find that I'm not as like, there's some people that get crazy over Big Trouble in Little China, and I'm like, I think it's fine. Like, I think it's funny and it's cool, but I'm not a huge fan of Big Trouble in Little China. I don't know what it is about it. I guess it's the corniness of it or something. I'm not sure. I've never warmed up to Big Trouble in Little China in the ways that I want to warm up to it, but I don't hate it either. It's just one of those ones I haven't quite been able to warm up to. And I find that I'm like that with a lot of Carpenter films. Outside of The Fog, Halloween, The Thing, and maybe They Live and
They Live, I love. In fact, I gotta say, you know, as far as like, what do I watch more, the original Halloween or They Live? I probably watch They Live more than the original Halloween.
Yeah.
It's just, I really love that movie.
I'd love to get a They Live hoodie.
Did we do a black hoodie? Did we do it? Yeah, I think we did do They Live.
The face on it, or a hat. I'd like to have like a hat with the They Live. I was going to start talking like this. I want to get a hat with the They Live skull on it. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be great. Let me see. Got that super chat. I haven't missed any super chats, right? I don't think I have.
What's the line? I love bubblegum and I came here to kick ass.
I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Yes, I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah,
I
no,
miss
it's a good
that
movie.
guy, Roddy Piper. Man, I miss him.
I think wasn't he Canadian? He was born here, I think.
I think so. If I had to like list off my all-time favorite wrestlers, it would be Austin, Macho Man, Piper, and Taker.
He
like
was
those
born.
Are like
that explains
top
why.
4.
That explains why he kind of sounds a little stereotypically Canadian when he speaks.
The original bad boy heel, man.
He was born in Saskatoon, so in the prairies in Saskatchewan. So that's why he kind of sounds a little more stereotypically Canadian when he speaks, I think. That's funny. Yeah, he was great. He was great. He died in 2015. He's been dead a while. It was a heart attack? Let me see.
I think so. I mean, a lot of these guys between using the steroids and I know he had some demons and some stuff that I'm sure, habits that he fell into that were just unfortunate. But man, yeah, he was great. Certainly my favorite heel, I mean, Macho was definitely up there too. I mean, Macho Man's like my second favorite wrestler. Next to Austin, but Macho went back. I mean, Rowdy went back and forth too, because when he first retired after WrestleMania 3, which never made sense to me, but whatever.
Right.
That retirement match he had with Gorgeous George, the hair cutting match or whatever.
Right.
I think it was Gorgeous George, if I'm not mistaken.
Gorgeous George.
And he was like in his prime at that point. And he goes, well, I know he was going off the film They Live. I mean, because you look at him, he's in fucking great shape.
Yeah, he is in great shape. He's fucking jacked. He's jacked. He's jacked.
He's jacked. The thing with Piper is that when he's standing next to guys like Andre and Hogan, those are big men, especially back then. When you see them in They Live, you actually get to appreciate like that dude was big, because when he's standing next to everyone else, he's huge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Tanner. Hey, Tanner sends in $2. Thanks, Tanner, and says, hey guys, what's up? Can't wait for It's Me, Billy 2. Thank you very much, Tanner. Appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, I just noticed that we also went up again. Look at that, 43,140. We now have 412 backers. Amazing. You guys are awesome. Unreal. The link to the Indiegogo campaign for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 is in the description, folks. Check it out if you can. Pick up a Blu-ray, a digital download package, which is, I think for you guys in the US is only about $20. You get a digital copy of the movie in full HD, a digital copy of the official poster, a digital copy of the script, and high resolution still images, both of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, all for $20. That's a good one too. But you can pick up the Blu-ray if you want physical media. We encourage that too, because that would be cool to have. Olivia Hussey's back. It's back. You're not going to want to miss this, folks.
Olivia Hussey.
You're going to want to get in on this, and any perk you pick up, your name will appear in the end credits. So
the original Juliet.
Yes, that's right. The original Juliet, Romeo and Juliet, 1968. I
think the first time I saw Olivia Hussey was in Jesus of Nazareth, because she played Mary.
She did.
She was Mary, Jesus's mom.
She did, yeah.
That was the first time I saw her. Then obviously, eventually, Black Christmas.
The first time I ever saw her would have been probably. It was either Black Christmas when I was a kid, or it was the It miniseries from 1990. She was Billy's wife.
Billy's wife. That's right.
That's right.
I forget that.
Yeah,
that's right. She's
because when that came out, you and I were like 11. And 11. I think that might, I don't know if I'd seen Black Christmas yet at that point. I might have. But I also might not.
That might have been the second time I saw her then. Because I grew up obviously in a Christian household, and Jesus of Nazareth. That movie was famous. Playing it's great. Every Easter.
Yeah.
That and the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston. Those were the two go-to movies every year in our home.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think it would have been the second time then that I saw her. Because I don't remember, I don't think I saw Black Christmas until we were teenagers.
Right.
It was just never one of those movies that I went to. It was, eventually when I could rent it, at the video store, dating ourselves here.
Videotape.
Eventually I got around to watching it. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those like ones that I went to right away. And I don't even know if it was my uncle who had recommended it to me, or somebody recommended. It was just one of those like, oh, you should check out that movie. And And I always used to confuse it with Silent Night, Deadly Night, because I think that's what it was called up there, right?
No, it was always called Black Christmas. But when Warner Brothers, when they took the film to the States to seek distribution in the States, Warner Brothers picked it up and changed the title from Black Christmas to Silent Night, Evil Night.
Evil Night,
and
right.
They did that because at that time they felt that people would think that Black Christmas was a blaxploitation movie, and they did that. And then it didn't do that great. It did well here in Canada, but it didn't do that well in the States. And then when it left the theaters for network television, about, I want to say maybe a few years later, it was going to air on network TV for the first time in the States, I think on NBC or something like that. And they changed the name again from Silent Night, Evil Night to Stranger in the House. And then it got canceled because in and around the time that it was going to air on NBC, I think it was NBC, in and around the time that it was going to air, Ted Bundy was arrested. And
Ooh.
Ted Bundy was arrested for raping and murdering sorority girls.
Yeah.
And so it was like, bad timing. And so it never really got it is an incredibly important film, hugely significant to the horror slasher subgenre. And, but it never got its, kind of thing. And since the internet and social media, obviously it's gained a cult following and people are appreciating it and revisiting it. And, and of course It's Me, Billy is helping that. And of course now Olivia Hussey, who's a very private person, who's not doing a lot of acting anymore, has agreed to step out of her home and where she is and her life and reprise her role as Jess Bradford in It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. So at the end of It's Me, Billy Chapter 1, when Sam goes, Grandma, I mean, now that we have Olivia, it's a whole new meaning now,
different
man.
Story.
It's a whole different story now. And
she's
it's
got
very exciting.
What's her name who plays Victoria? Is that her name?
Victoria plays Sam, yeah.
Yeah, she's got to be kind of stoked that whatever you're
thrilled.
Planning, that she's going to have the opportunity to work with Olivia
She's
Hussey.
thrilled. She's read, everybody's thrilled. She read the script. Yeah. She likes her arc because it's very important that we also complete Sam's arc as well, right? We want to do that too. And she's very excited for her role and completing her arc and working with Olivia. We're excited to work with Olivia. Lynn is excited to, be reunited with, Olivia and get to work with her as well. And everybody loves the script. They think it's great. And it's a great conclusion. So very exciting stuff indeed, folks. Very exciting stuff. The campaign is open for another 46 days and we just got to keep this train rolling. There we go. I hit the wrong thing. I think I did get all the super chats. It's 7:55. You got to skedaddle. All right, folks, listen, Tony's got to go. I got all the super chats. That's going to do it for this episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Thank you to our great moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Faber, Cody Snyder, and Andrew Stevens for doing what you guys do. Thank you very much for the super chat questions that came in today and hanging out with us as we talk some horror and our Mount Rushmore of horror slasher characters and all that kind of stuff. Jump into the comment section below and let Tony and I know your thoughts and who your Mount Rushmore of horror slasher villains would be. We'd love to know. Start the conversation below. Think it'd be very exciting indeed. And of course, the link to the Billy Chapter 2 Indiegogo campaign is in the description. I'll also put a pinned post there as well. Tony, any last things you want to say?
No, I mean, it sucks that I got a lot of work coming up, so we'll be on another 3-week hiatus, but we'll be back with some more shit in June.
Yes, we definitely will.
Some more bullshit in June.
For more bullshit in June. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. You're awesome. We love you. We'll see you soon. All righty. Cheers.